Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Modern Warfare Remastered in Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the R700 sniper rifle. This was my favorite sniper rifle when I was originally playing COD 4, but let's see how it holds up to modern scrutiny. We'll start off with the thing that most of you are curious about, which is the damage. Like all the other sniper rifles in MWR, it'll deal 70 damage flat, but 98 with stopping power. Of course, the body multipliers are different, which we'll look at in a minute. Of course, the body multipliers are higher than 1, so you'll get one-shot kills in various areas. However, I did want to point out first that the body multipliers are much higher than normal even for sniper rifles. For the R700, they're actually the same as the Barrett 50 cal, which means your base damage, even though it's still a one-shot kill, is going to be much higher than other sniper rifles, and this will grant you much easier wall banks, because if you hit the wall dealing a ton of damage, you'll have a ton of damage on the other side of the wall. Like every sniper rifle aside from the M40, you get no bonus damage whatsoever from adding an ACOG sight, and the ACOG sight will decrease your aim down sight's time by 25% from 400 to 300 milliseconds, roughly making it a faster, quick-scopy, easier kind of weapon. Now let's get to the part that everybody's really interested in, which is the body multipliers. Without stopping power, it's a one-shot kill to the head, neck, and upper torso, very respectable and in line with the other high-caliber sniper rifles. With stopping power, it's more like the Barrett and the M40A3, you get one-shot kills to the head, neck, upper, and lower torso. So it's definitely one of the ones that is most likely to grant you one-shot kills. And I will say that the R700 is extremely consistent and has an overall good feel when it comes to getting one-shot kills. I very rarely feel gypped by this weapon. I very rarely feel like I should have gotten a one-shot kill when I didn't. It has an overall excellent feel if you're going for picks. However, there is a downside to the R700, and it's a more subjective one than normal than we get into on In Depth. The R700 has much higher recoil on a per-shot basis than the M40A3. The shots are louder, and the gun shakes more. This has several impacts to your ability to snipe. First of all, the higher recoil and the more gun shake means that it's a much more violent shot and that it will make it harder to track individual targets. Normally, I would write the recoil between shots on these kind of sniper rifles as non-applicable, but this time it is somewhat applicable. It makes it a little bit harder to track the targets. The louder shots are somewhat more abrasive, and that means that enemies can hear them easily, which means they can come and hunt you down. So while the R700 is great for shooting once and getting picks, after the first shot, it kind of loses its overall viability or top-tier status. Rate of fire on this weapon is slow, like most bolt-action sniper rifles. It'll fire at 65 rounds per minute. However, with double tap, that'll be increased to 87 rounds per minute. Wouldn't really recommend that, but I know some crazy people that do. Another major downside to the R700 is that it only has a magazine size of 4. You can only chamber 4 rounds at a time, and it reloads 1 bullet at a time. Thankfully, the 1 bullet at a time reload is actually incredibly quick, kind of like the M40A3. It doesn't take very much time to reload, so that's not a huge concern for most players. But what is a huge concern is you get 4 shots before you absolutely have to reload, which means that you do have some downtime with this weapon. You can't go for feeds, you can't spam with it and spray with it. You need to be cool, calm, calculated, and meticulous. When it comes to sprint out, idle sway, aim down sights, and all of the other handling stats, including raise and drop time, they're all perfectly normal for sniper rifles. There's no big outliers here. There's nothing particular interesting to talk about. It handles basically like the M40A3 and like most any sniper rifle that you're familiar with in Call of Duty. Unlike some of the snipers we've talked about more recently, the Hipfire on this gun is terrible. Please don't try to no-scope with the R700. The Hipfire box itself is incredibly wide. The gun shake is enough to kind of throw you off somewhat, but it fires slowly. You've only got 4 rounds. You're not really likely to hit people. I just generally don't recommend hip-firing. You're much better off just swapping to your secondary weapon. You might get lucky with it sometimes, but wouldn't recommend it ever. And what's kind of different about this one compared to the Barrett and the M40A3 is I actually find it hard to use with the ACOG sight due to the recoil and shake that's associated with it. The recoil becomes much more apparent when you're running ACOG on the R700 versus the ACOG on the M40A3, and it's not as fun to use. It feels less consistent, more awkward. It's kind of got this Dragunov feel when you run ACOG on it. Yes, you can kill people. Yes, if you're patient, it's not that hard. It doesn't have any more idle sway. It's just the recoil is problematic. So probably wouldn't go that way either. And when it comes to what is the R700's place in this game, why do people like it? Why is it still popular? Why did I like it so much? Well, it is an incredibly high damage sniper rifle that will very consistently get you one-shot kills one at a time. It is awesome for picking people off. It's not so great for a rough and tumble sniper rifle or for like a quick accuracy, like follow-up kind of sniper rifle. At the end of the day, the R700 feels like an M40A3 that's trying too hard. It just wants to distinguish itself more, so it's like, I'm gonna deal more damage, and I'm gonna be louder, I'm gonna kick harder, and all of these things don't necessarily help it as much as being easy to use. So that's what the R700 really is, and it probably is a little bit better for going for picks than the M40A3, but it's basically on par with the Barrett, which is semi-automatic. If you are going to use the R700, which I would recommend, it's still a good sniper rifle, I'd recommend going with stopping power, deep impact, and bandolier. Bandolier is especially important because your magazine capacity isn't that amazing. Deep impact is going to help you get wall bangs, and stopping power, same with wall bangs and more one-shot kill areas. Very, very hard to beat. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this short, in-depth episode. We've kind of wrapped up snipers, and we're going to be moving into pistols next. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.